Good evening to everyone. Thank you for the possibility to share a very short overview of few examples of restoration of the synagogues in Ukraine. And just to mention that in Ukraine there is more than 2,000 objects of the Jewish heritage, including synagogues, mass graves, and cemeteries. And at the moment it's around like 80 synagogues which are in working conditions. I would like to mention a few cities where the synagogues recently was renovated or rebuilt. In Chernovtsi a few years ago, the synagogue was reconstructed and given back to the Chabad community for their services. In Ostrog, in also in Ivano-Frankovsk, there are synagogues who was renovated. In Zhytomyr, the synagogue is building right now. In the Chernovtsi, also the building of the cemetery is in renovation mode. I would like also to mention that just recently, before the September, the building of the cemetery in Babi Yar was given back to the community, and it's planned to be renovated, and the Babi Yar Museum gonna be there. And now I would like to pay your attention, present you like few examples of the recently restored synagogue and the plans. So the synagogue in Sataniv in Khmelnytsky region, this is one of the great examples of the fortress synagogue. And this is actually one of the few cases where the synagogue was restored and saved. So this is the old picture, how it looks like. And there you can see how it was before the 2015. And another picture is how it looks like now. And this is how also it was and how it's now. This is some pictures of interiors. This is just recent pictures from the expedition which was held in beginning of August. Yeah, and this is now I would like to tell a few more words about the Golden Road Synagogue, which considered to be the oldest synagogue in Ukraine. It was built in 1582 by Italian architect. And now how the picture shows how the site looks now. I just want to mention that actually the inauguration of the space was exactly 1 year ago in September, 1st of September. It took a long way to do what it's done there, and still it's just the first stage of the project one conducted. The second and third stages also in the planning. Here you can see the information which, like official information from the website of the Center of Urban History of Lvov. I know there are this is a good example, and this is very good. This is the first time the city council of the city in Ukraine was pay attention to this. Just want to also let you know that it's very controversial project still, because the Jewish community a little bit was divided, and everyone has different opinions, especially like Orthodox, and also there is still ongoing questions, should the synagogue itself should be rebuilt or not. And still it's kind of about is it possible to save the memory about spiritual and cultural life of a Jewish community who used to live there by not rebuild something, but only showing how it was. You also saw yesterday the pictures which was shown. You saw it just the empty space, and still people just walking around. And of course, it's better than it was before by the cafeteria, but still. This is things which should be considered very carefully when talking about the preservation and commemoration. Yeah, this is very this is the site. Also, some people questioned why the Holocaust memorial was put it there, because any shootings wasn't happening in the place of the synagogue. And another example which I want to share with you, this is example of the Brodsky Synagogue in Odessa, which was built by the Jews from Brody in 1863 in Odessa, Ukraine, and was the largest synagogue in the south of Russian Empire. And it was quite famous, so people went to hear the concerts from all over the world. So this synagogue was converted to the archives by Romanian soldiers who came and took over during the war the Odessa. And back then the archives was in the church. So they moved the national archives to the synagogue. Until last year, it was a function as an archive. And it's only since autumn, the Jewish community of Odessa was received it back, and it's planning. The plans are this is one of the first projects is to put the glass dome on the top, and on the top to put the museum. The community planning to put the also tolerance center, museum, to do the conference hall and hall for the weddings, etc. But still, the archive is still there. There was given 3 years to them to move out from the space, and the plan is like this. So in 2017, it's gonna be the examinations of the building. In 2018, planning to build to do the project documentation, and then the actual works should start at 2019, and probably the project should be finished by 2021 or 2022. It's also depending on funding. The big crowdfunding campaign started, and also it's depending on how is building itself, what is the condition of the building. And also, just want to mention that there is no restitution law in Ukraine. That's why we can work only with cemeteries and synagogues, but actually we are not dealing with any other properties. Thank you.